It is 1957, a Tuesday afternoon in Los Angeles. The rain comes down hard on Sunset Boulevard. A man in a beat-up city uniform stands on the curb. His hat is soaked through. His shoulders are dropped. He just got fired on the spot. Right there, in front of passengers, in front of strangers. His supervisor pointed at him, said the words, and walked away. The man doesn't move. He just stands there in the rain, holding a small paper bag with whatever was in his locker. A sandwich maybe, his last paycheck stub. He doesn't look angry. He looks like a man who stopped expecting things to go differently a long time ago. Traffic moves past him. Nobody stops. Nobody looks. Then one car slows down. Then it stops completely. The window rolls down. A big hand rests on the door frame. A deep, flat voice cuts through the rain. That is the moment. That is the story. But to understand what happened next, you need to understand who was driving that car. And to understand that, you need to go back about 30 years. To a boy who also stood in the rain with nothing, and learned something about what it means to keep moving. Robert Charles Derman Mitchum is born on August 6, 1917 in Bridgeport, Connecticut. His father works for the railroad. James Mitchum dies in a rail yard accident when Robert is just 2 years old. The explosion tears through a freight coupling. The boy grows up without ever hearing his father's voice. His mother Anne remarries. The family moves around. Nothing sticks. There is a stepfather who means well but cannot fill the space. There is a sister, Annette, a brother, John. The house is never quite warm enough, and the food is never quite enough of it either. By 14, Robert Mitchum is done sitting still. He rides freight trains, not as a thrill, as a method of survival. He hops cars leaving Connecticut heading south and west. He sleeps on top of boxcars with the wind cutting through whatever jacket he has. He washes dishes in diners for a meal. He picks crops in Georgia fields for 50 cents a day. He sweeps warehouse floors. He gets robbed twice, and each time he has almost nothing to steal. In 1933, at 16 years old, in Savannah, Georgia, a police officer arrests him for vagrancy. There is no trial worth mentioning. He is put on a chain gang. 50 days, manual labor, chains on his ankles, work from first light until the sun goes down. He escapes. He does not tell the story in detail when he is older. What he says is simple. He says he just walked away one night and kept walking. The scars on his legs from the shackles stay with him for the rest of his life. He goes back north. Think about what that walk looks like. A 16-year-old with shackle scars on his legs. No money, no destination, no one expecting him anywhere. Most people in that position fold. They find the nearest wall and put their back against it and wait for someone to tell them what to do. Mitchum does not fold. He does not wait. He just picks a direction and starts moving. That is the whole philosophy, really. Laid out at 16 on a dirt road in Georgia before he had any idea what philosophy was. He boxes for money. 27 professional bouts. His nose gets broken. He does not count the other injuries. He works in an astrology company for a while because it pays. He works a factory floor. He works with a shovel. He works with a wrench. Whatever the work is, he does it until something inside him goes quiet and flat, and he moves on. In 1940, in Long Beach, California, he ends up in a little amateur theater group. He is not searching for purpose. He is searching for somewhere to sit down for a few hours that is not a factory floor. Someone hands him some lines to read. He reads them. The director goes quiet for a moment and looks at him, then looks at him again. The thing about Robert Mitchum's face is that it does not perform. Most actors of that era are trained to signal emotion. Eyebrows up for fear, teeth for joy, furrowed brow for conflict. Mitchum's face does none of that. His eyelids are heavy, his jaw is set. He looks at the camera the way a man looks at something he has already figured out. It reads on film as danger, as knowledge, as a man who has seen what life actually is and found it unimpressive. Hollywood notices this within a year. He starts with small parts, westerns mostly. He plays the guy who gets shot in the first act. He plays a deputy. He plays a drifter. He shows up, hits his mark, says his lines, and goes home. Directors notice he never asks for extra takes. He never complains about the lighting. He never asks what his character's motivation is. He already knows. His motivation is the same as always. Get through it clean. Get paid. By 1945, he is a star. RKO. Pictures puts him in lead roles. The war films work. The noir films work even better. He plays men with damage behind their eyes, men who are capable of things they would rather not be capable of. The audience responds to it immediately because it is not a performance. It is a translation. Then comes 1948. On September 1st, 1948, police raid a house in Laurel Canyon. Robert Mitchum is there. They find marijuana. He is arrested, charged, convicted. The sentence is 60 days in jail. He serves 50 before getting released early. The studio system is built on control. These men in suits have spent decades manufacturing the idea that their stars are clean, that they are good, that they are the kind of people you should invite into your home twice a week on a Friday night. A drug arrest is not just a legal problem, it is a structural threat to the entire mythology they sell. The studio executives come to see him before sentencing. They explain what needs to happen. There needs to be a statement, remorse, contrition, a press conference. A publicist-approved breakdown, basically. A performance of shame designed to reassure the public and protect the box office. Mitchum listens to all of this. He sits in the chair with his arms crossed and that flat, unreadable look on his face. When they finish talking, he says 4 words. He says, "I don't think so." That is the entire answer. He goes to jail. He wears the inmate uniform. He sweeps the floors. A reporter gets access and asks him what prison is like. Mitchum shrugs and says, "It is just like Palm Springs, but without the riffraff." When he walks out 50 days later, something impossible has happened. Not just maintained, increased. The lines at the box office are longer. The fan mail has doubled. The studio executives, who spent 6 weeks preparing for the collapse of his career, are now quietly rewriting their projections upward. The public did not want a perfect man. They never wanted that. They wanted proof that a real one was possible. He keeps working through the 1950 seconds with the same unbothered consistency he brought to everything else. In 1955, he delivers what many critics will eventually agree is one of the greatest villain performances in the history of cinema. In The Night of the Hunter, he plays Reverend Harry Powell, a preacher, a con man, a killer, a man with love tattooed across the knuckles of his right hand and hate across his left. He is terrifying in the film not because he acts terrifying. He is terrifying because he seems completely calm, because he seems to believe what he is saying, because the darkness behind his eyes looks earned, not applied. Charles Laughton, who directs the film, later says Mitchum is the best actor he has ever worked with. Mitchum shrugs at this. He says he had 2 acting styles, with a horse and without a horse. He gets up every morning, drives to set, parks the car, drinks coffee, and does the work, flawlessly. On the first take, almost always. Then, drives home. He does this for over 100 films across 5 decades. He does not attend the parties. He does not cultivate the relationships. He does not call columnists or trade favors with producers. He simply exists with an unmovable quality that makes everyone around him work harder just to keep up. Directors hate asking him to do something twice, not because he gets angry, because it is so rarely necessary. There is something else worth saying here, something the profiles and the obituaries mostly miss. Mitchum carries money in his pocket at all times. Not for himself. He eats simply. He drinks what is in front of him. He does not buy things to signal that he has them. The money is there because he grew up without it, and he remembers what that felt like, and he decided somewhere along the way that if he ever had any, it would move toward whoever needed it more than he did. He does this quietly, consistently, and without making it part of his story. This is not generosity as performance. It is just arithmetic. Now it is 1957 again. Sunset Boulevard. The rain. The car that has stopped belongs to Robert Mitchum. He is coming back from a long day on set. He sees the man on the curb, the soaked uniform, the paper bag, the complete stillness of someone who has just had a door close in front of him and does not know which way to walk. Mitchum gets out of the car. He stands in the rain without a coat. He walks over. He does not make a big gesture. He does not put his arm around anyone. He asks the man what happened. The driver explains. A disagreement with a supervisor that had been building for months. A bad day. The wrong words said in front of the wrong people, fired on the spot, a family at home, rent due at the end of the week. Mitchum listens to all of this standing in the rain with his hands in his pockets. When the man finishes talking, Mitchum does not offer sympathy. Sympathy is easy. Sympathy is what people do when they want to feel like they helped without having to do anything. He opens his wallet. He gives the man enough to cover the rent. Not a loan, not a favor to be repaid. Just money, placed in someone's hand because they need it, and he has it, and the math on that is simple. Then he gives the man a card with a phone number on it. He says, "Call this number Monday morning and ask for someone by name." He says, "There is work available on film sets. Good work, decent pay, union rates, no supervisor standing over anyone in the rain." Then he gets back in his car and drives away. He does not tell anyone about this. He does not mention it in any interview. He does not bring it up at dinner parties he does not attend anyway. It surfaces decades later through the bus driver himself, who tells the story to his son, who eventually writes it down. Mitchum is already gone by then. He passes quietly on July 1st, 1997 in Santa Barbara, California. Lung cancer. He is 79 years old. He does not give a final statement. He does not write a memoir. He does not appear on a television special to summarize what he has learned. He was not that kind of man. When you look at the full shape of his life from the outside, a pattern becomes clear that he himself would probably refuse to acknowledge. The chain gang in Georgia, the boxing bouts, the factory floors, the prison cell in Los Angeles, the man on the curb in the rain. These are not separate chapters. They are the same story told from different angles. The story of a man who moved through the worst the world had to offer and came out the other side without bitterness, without performance, and without any particular need for the world to notice. He made over 110 films in a career that spanned more than 50 years. He never won an Academy Award, and he made it clear he did not particularly want one. He turned down roles that would have made him richer because he did not like the script, or did not like how the shoot was being run. He took roles that paid almost nothing because the story was worth telling. Robert De Niro studied him. Clint Eastwood watched his films carefully and took notes. Every actor who built a career on stillness and authenticity and the refusal to over-explain a character owes something to what Mitchum figured out on those freight trains in 1933. But here is what none of the tributes quite say. The legacy is not just cinematic, it is behavioral. He showed an entire generation of men that you can be capable without being loud about it, that you can help someone without turning it into a story about yourself, that the strongest thing you can do in most situations is simply refuse to perform weakness, refuse to perform strength, and just handle what is in front of you. He did not teach this in interviews. He demonstrated it consistently over 6 decades in the way he worked and the way he lived and the way he drove down Sunset Boulevard on a rainy Tuesday afternoon in 1957. You do not need to perform your strength. You just need to have it. You do not need to announce what you are going to do. You just need to do it. You do not need the world to validate what you know about yourself. You just need to know it. There is a photograph taken sometime in the early 1950 seconds, black and white. Robert Mitchum is sitting in a canvas chair on some studio backlot. He has a cigarette between 2 fingers. His jacket is half off one shoulder. His eyelids are at half-mast. He is looking directly into the camera with an expression that is not a smile and is not a threat, but is somehow both at the same time. He looks like a man who has been asked a question and already knows the answer will not satisfy the person who asked it. He looks like a man who pulled over in the rain once and never mentioned it again. That is the photograph. That is the man. The world belongs to those who don't ask for permission. Authenticity is everything. If this story stayed with you, leave a comment below. Subscribe if you want more. Hit the notification bell and pass it on.